She looked at me the way people look at something they've already decided to throw away. Not angry, not shocked, just finished with me. Then she raised her voice loud enough that the neighbors would hear and said, "This is my house now. You need to leave." She pressed my bag into my hands like it weighed nothing. Like I weighed nothing. My son was standing right behind her. Not across the room. Not distracted. Right there. Close enough to touch my shoulder. Close enough to say my name. He didn't. He stared past me. At the wall. At the floor anywhere that wasn't my face. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I smiled, turned around, and walked out. Because the woman shouting had never read the mortgage papers. And because my son already had. Before I go on, tell me where you're watching from. Just your city or state. I read every comment. My name is Edna. I'm from Iowa where winters are sharp and people don't interrupt. But they remember. They watched me walk down that driveway with my bag in my hand. No one said a word. But they saw everything. I wasn't always someone who needed help. I worked my whole life. On my feet. With my hands. I learned to stretch money. To stay quiet. To fix problems without asking for applause. I married a man who didn't talk much, but he showed up. Every day. When he died, the house didn't just go silent, it felt heavier, like the walls were holding their breath. I stayed busy so I wouldn't collapse under it. That's what widows do, we keep moving so grief doesn't catch us sitting down. After the funeral, my son started calling more. He asked if I was eating, if I was sleeping. I said yes. I lied. Then one night, he said, "Mom, you shouldn't be alone. Come live with us. We have space." He said we. I sold my home quietly, and when the money came through, I paid off their mortgage. Not because they asked, because I thought that's what family does at first. She smiled, the careful kind of smile that never quite reaches the eyes. She corrected me first. Which dishes were special? Which chair was hers? Which shelf I shouldn't touch? Always polite. Always public. I started waiting until the house was empty to make tea. Not because I was afraid, but because I didn't want to be reminded that I was a guest in a house I paid for. My son noticed. I know me did. Sometimes our eyes met, and for a second I saw the boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. Then she would call his name, and he would look away. The grandchildren learned quickly. Not from what she said, but from how she said it. They stepped around me instead of toward me at night. I lay awake listening to the house settle, and wondered how something so full of people could feel so empty. The moment everything broke felt small. The kids were running. The dog hid under the table. I asked them softly to lower their voices. She rushed in. Her tone wasn't loud. It was certain. "Don't interfere." I tried to explain, not argue, just explain. She laughed once, and that laugh told me exactly where I stood. I looked at my son. He stood there, silent, like silence was neutral. It wasn't. She went to my room, grabbed my bag, shoved my clothes inside without folding them, opened the door wide, and said, loudly enough for the street to hear, "You need to leave." I waited for my son. He didn't move, so I did. I walked out with my head up, not because I wasn't breaking, but because I had already lost too much to lose my dignity to. I drove straight to my lawyer. He didn't look surprised. He opened my file and pointed to the truth my husband and I had written years ago. If I was ever forced out of the home I paid for, I could sell it. No raised voices. Just ink. I didn't feel happy. I felt steady, and sometimes steady is stronger than happy. If this story made you uncomfortable, good, because it should. Because no woman who spent her life building a family should be made to feel disposable by the people she built it for. And if you're thinking it right now, you're not wrong. She deserved better.